Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Roman. I will be your Physics 131 professor this semester. Just a little bit about myself. This is my second year here at CGCC, but I've been teaching physics for well over 15, 16 years now. So my office is located at the Williams campus, which I've got a map. I'll show you that in a second. And so if you are looking for office hours, I've got 2 days of in-person office hours because I do teach in person out at Williams campus, as well as by appointment on Thursdays. Now, I put a little asterisk here because some weeks I know already I'm going to have a meeting during those times, so I may have to change those, but I'll put those in a weekly announcement. And there is a sign up in our Cisco WebEx on our Canvas course. Okay. So how to find me? If you haven't been out to the Williams campus before, it is a smaller campus and it's kind of wedged between ASU Polytechnic and the Mesa Gateway Airport here. Okay, so this is Ray, and power actually goes all the way along here, and then this is Sossaman. So depending on whether you're coming from north or south, Sossaman keeps going down that way. Okay, and then this is Innovation Way here that kind of surrounds ASU Polytechnic. All right, so this right here, let me zoom in. This is my lab room. Thomas Hall is where physics and chemistry and some bio out at Williams campus is taught. And so if you are ever in need to come to my lab room for whatever reason, my door to my lab room faces this way. This is the rental car return for the airport, and it is on Texas Avenue. Right here, this is Baylor North. So there's Baylor South and Baylor North, although North and South are not labeled on the buildings. They're both just called Baylor. So this is where my office is. It is just south of the ASU simulator building, and it's right there. You can park in either parking lot. Okay, if you are not a regular full-time in-person student for Chandler Gilbert, you may not know, but you get a free parking pass, and that's going to be in Bluford building where you can pick that up. Unless you're on the main campus over at Pecos, you can get that as well. There's a week or two grace period in order to pick those up. Just because of ASU, our security guards do actually check and make sure that you have a parking pass, but they are free for CGC students. Okay, you just have to go in and pick it up. The other thing right here, this is Bridget Hall. Okay, so this parking actually goes all the way up over here. Bridget Hall is where our library and learning center is. And so my office hours, this is also where the cafeteria is. Okay, my office hours on what day? Wednesday is going to be at the learning center. So that's where I will be there. All right. So that is information about me. Obviously, when I'm not teaching physics, I love doing things like hiking, snowboarding, I golf, paddleboard, all that kind of fun stuff. So in our first week's module, I do have a section for you to tell me a little bit about yourself, what your hopes and dreams for your education is, as well as anything else that's interesting. I like to try to relate some of my lectures to what your future is and things that way interest you. Okay, moving right along. So I run my classes weekly modules. So it'll be week 1 through 15, week 16 being our finals week. All right, so each week you're going to have notes and lectures. So my lectures are essentially me describing the notes. I do suggested readings. Sometimes I'll have some other videos in there. There's a few websites that I like to use for particular ones. Sometimes it's just nice to see or hear somebody else explain that same thing. There will be a weekly check for understanding. Okay, this check for understanding is normally going to be due by Thursday night. And that's just to make sure that you have actually started looking at the notes, started looking at the lectures. It's going to be kind of more basic concept or one-step problems. Things that I would be kind of checking and asking you if you were in my in-person class during the lectures. Okay. This week for week 1, I'm going to give you guys some leeway, so that will be due Sunday, but moving forward, starting week 2, those little check for understandings are going to be due Thursdays. And I'll get into more detail in all of these in a minute here. Expertise or homework. It is a program to do your homework online. We're going to have at least two labs every week. One might be, or sometimes one larger one. There'll be a combination, mostly simulations. Sometimes I'll have some challenge problems that you'll have to try to figure out. And then when we get to circuits, you are going to need to be picking up a circuit kit from me. At some point, I will give you guys details week 2 on that. And we are going to do some hands-on labs at home, which is fun. I do weekly quizzes. Okay, and so instead of doing unit tests, I do a weekly quiz. At the end of each semester, I survey my students, and everyone seems to really like those weekly quizzes. It's a really good checkpoint to know what you're doing, or know that you know what you're doing. Okay, there's going to be some other assignments throughout the weeks as well. For instance, week 1, I'm going to have some textbook questions. Our textbook is OpenStax. There is a link on our Canvas for that. Some reflections, a research paper or presentation. I put an asterisk there not to, I don't want to scare you about those. Those are going to be a few either PowerPoint or Prezi or just like a 1 to 2 page paper on some practical applications of some stuff that we're going to be working on. And so those will be instead of a textbook assignment or instead of a lab that week. So it's not going to be in addition to the other work. So here is our weekly schedule. For the most part, I will have modules open Monday mornings. Some weeks I may open them early on Sunday, but for sure Monday mornings they will open. Those are my office hours laid out there. Baylor is my office. Williams Learning Center, which is in Bridget Hall on Wednesdays. And then by appointment, as I said, these ones I may have to change due to some conflicts of meetings, but I will have appointment times to sign up in our WebEx. Okay. And then all assignments due by Sunday night. Okay. So our grade breakdown, 25% coursework. So our coursework is our expert TA and any homework assignments like textbook questions. Labs are 25%, quizzes are 25%, and your final exam is 25%. Okay, so pretty easy breakdown there. So check for understandings. These are meant to assure you understood the notes and retained important information. Okay, so this is kind of, if you've ever been a lecture where professors ask questions throughout the lecture and they're kind of waiting for answers, that's kind of what this is meant for, to make sure that you've grasped kind of those basic must-know concepts. Okay, so they're going to be more conceptual with, as I mentioned, one-step problems. Now, it's set up as a quiz format in Canvas, but you have unlimited tries, okay? So you do have to take the whole thing over again. It doesn't just allow you to pick and choose which ones. You have to take the whole thing over again, but you can take it as many times as you want, and your highest score will be kept, okay? And they're going to be due Thursday by midnight. As I said, week 1, I'm going to be lenient on that. Expert TA, if you have not used that, our week 1 assignment has a few how-tos in them, how to answer questions and different things like that. And then it's got some scientific notation and some unit conversion questions for week 1, just to get to know our expert TA. Okay, every professor uses this a little bit different. The way I do this is you have 5 attempts at each question, but every attempt gets reduced by 5%. Okay, now, sometimes it's going to be like, oh, I forgot to change millimeters to meters, or I forgot to change these microcoulombs to coulombs. And so I want you to be able to earn those points back. And so every week, if you submit your handwritten solutions to the ones you got incorrect, and submit them to Canvas, I'll have a section for that in Canvas, then I will bump those scores back up again. Okay, so for instance, on question number 1, if you used 3 attempts, then it's taking 15% off of that question, not the whole assignment, just that question. If you then write either an explanation like, oh, I forgot to change my units, or I used the wrong equation and here is the right one, then I will give you that 15% back, and I will manually update your grade. Okay. This is a great, great, great way to keep your grades up. Okay. You're doing the questions anyways. You're probably going to need to be writing them out on paper or a whiteboard or anything. Okay, just take a picture of it and submit those, and you can earn those points back. All right. And then hints do not reduce your score. So feel free to use the hints, but if you have to use more than one attempt, go ahead and submit those solutions. Easy way to make some points up. Labs, we're going to have a whole kinds of variety of different labs. I use a lot of PHET, Fizzlet, and then we're going to use Pivot this semester. Pivot is going to require an account. I will give you instructions on that because we have purchased the licensing to those. Okay. I'm going a little out of order, sorry. Lab kits are going to be provided. That was part of your lab fee that we have for this class. These kits are going to need to be picked up. It says week 3, but I'm going to have instructions week 2 in order for you to have a couple of weeks to prepare to pick these up. We won't use them until I believe week 5 is our first week. Definitely not before week 5. And so essentially you're going to have to come pick up one of those kits. If there's a problem, just email me and we'll figure something out. Okay. Okay, weekly quizzes. So every week you're going to have a quiz worth 10 points. All right, we've got 15 weeks before our final, so you will have 15 quizzes. Each of them, as I mentioned, are worth 10 points, but it could be a variety of different number of questions depending on that week. For instance, one week I may have like 5 multiple choice and 2 problems. Another week I might just have 2 problems because they're really big problems. All right, in the instructions before you actually take the quiz, I will tell you how many questions, what type of questions there are, and I will put any equations that you will need. You will be using Lockdown Browser for that, and I do have the scientific calculator feature, but you will not be able to go to Desmos, okay? So please make sure that you either have a scientific calculator. Graphing calculators are best. I don't require them. You can rent them from the Learning Center for the semester, actually. I think it's like $10 for the semester. It just helps because we're going to be doing a lot of multiple step problems and a lot of things with scientific notation and exponents and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Okay. Quizzes are individual, not to be completed with any help from tutors or any other person. You will need to submit a document showing your written solutions for the problems after the quiz. I usually have that as a separate thing, so it's not stressing you out when the timer is counting down. However, I do see when you submitted it, so I'll be looking that you submitted it within a reasonable time. And then I always kind of double check. Some of the quizzes will be self-graded and some of them I will grade myself. Even the ones that are self-graded, I kind of always go back and double check just because of a lot of notations. So yeah, please make sure you're submitting your work. The quizzes are going to be based on what we did that week. All right, so just make sure that you are completing all of the work first before you attempt the quiz. However, I do not allow late quizzes. Okay, so your quizzes will close on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so if you're running behind and you didn't finish a lab, get this done first. Labs, I do have a late penalty, but I will at least accept them. I will not reopen quizzes. Okay, now here's the great part. You can retake a quiz. Okay, in my opinion, quizzes are to ensure proper understanding of the material, which means if you messed up, okay, we're not just like, oh, well, hope you figure it out by the final. All right. My hopes and dreams are for you to review your quiz, ask for help if you don't know what you did wrong, and then try it again to get a better score, but also more importantly, to understand the material. Okay. Most of you are either physics or engineering majors. You're going to need some of this information, especially your electrical engineers. When you move on and to take circuits and all that kind of fun stuff, you're going to need to know a lot of this stuff. So just chalking it up to, oops, I did bad that week is not you're not learning that way. Okay. So please take advantage of this. Some semesters I have students who take full advantage of it. Even if they get a 9 out of 10, they still do those steps in order to retake a quiz. Higher grade you have going into your final, less stressed you have to be. So it's a great learning opportunity as well as an opportunity to keep your grades up. Okay. So you have 2 weeks from when the grades are released. Now, sometimes you'll be able to see your grade right away if it's self-grading. However, I will open the quiz, meaning that it is locked. You won't be able to go back and see anything until once I open it. So once I open it and release those grades, then you have 2 weeks to contact me in order to do a retake. Okay? If you do not do the quiz in the first place, you do not get a retake. All right. So please make sure you are setting yourself up for a specific time out of the week in order to take these quizzes. They're usually going to be between 30, 45 minutes. I think is usually my timing on them. When I say 30 minutes, most of you could probably complete it in 10 to 15, but I give you 30 minutes just in case. And again, that will be noted in the instructions before you start the quiz. Final exam. This is an important one. You need to contact me right away if this is not going to be possible, because we will need to look for an option for you to take this class elsewhere, because our in-person final exam is non-negotiable. Okay, so your final exam will be in person, and it will be, I'm actually going to give you a variety of times. So these are the dates and times. These are the same, 3 of these are actually when my other in-person classes are going to be taking their exams. So it will be a mix of, I teach mostly 131. I also teach 112 and 121 this semester. So I don't have a location yet. It will be on the Williams campus though, most likely in Baylor, but I will update you on the location. But these are your options. As we get closer, I'm going to have you guys actually commit to one of those. So I have a sign up, so I make sure that I have a room big enough to fit everybody that I need to. Okay. For this 2-hour exam, you're going to bring an equation sheet. You're going to hear me talk a lot about an equation sheet. Throughout the semester, each week, you're going to be creating your own equation sheet. You're creating one equation sheet, adding to it each week. All right. And so this equation sheet is going to be your one that you organize. Some people do it in chronological order of what we did things. Some people like to group things. We're going to add constants to those and variables. But you're going to hear me talk about that over and over again. Your equation sheet is actually going to be turned in the week before finals as an assignment. But just so you know, you are going to have an equation sheet, and you're going to need a calculator and an ID when you come to that final exam. Okay. I usually typically have some ASU students. Please note that if you are an ASU or U of A student, these dates may be after your semester is over. So please make sure you are aware of Chandler Gilbert's spring break and final exam schedule, because I believe we're off by a week again this semester. Okay. So late work. I have an automatic 10% per day. It is already in Canvas. So if you turn something in late, it will take 10% off the grade that you earned. Okay. So try to make sure you're not turning things in late. You don't want to lose that. However, one day you can still get 90%. Okay. My personal opinion is late points are better than zeros. However, obviously after 10 days, that is a 0. So please make sure you're planning accordingly. I do not do late quizzes, and obviously no late finals. You need to show up to that final. Okay. Prior knowledge. Sorry, I use Notability, and sometimes my graphics are different. Prior knowledge. Obviously, you have some prereqs. You needed to complete these in order to sign up for the class. This is information that you should already know that we're going to be using throughout the semester. I do not teach these. However, if you're like, oh my gosh, I do not remember how to add 2D vectors, just let me know and I will gladly help. I'll walk you through it. I'll add more videos. Okay. So it's not that I don't want to teach this stuff. I don't spend time in our weekly units going over this. I assume you already know it, but sometimes, maybe it's been a few semesters since you've done a dot product. All right. But just so you know, if you're ever stuck, please don't hesitate to ask. I will always give you supplemental help, instruction, or somewhere to go kind of refresh that if you're shaky on them. Okay. All right. Last but not least, please set yourself up for success. Okay. I've been teaching physics for a long, long time, and I do think that these are the best ways for you to help yourself. Okay, do not leave things to the last minute. All right, you may think like, oh, this is only 10 questions, but you guys have all taken physics before and you've all taken calculus, and you know that one question sometimes isn't just one question. There may be like 4 or 5 steps to that question. So don't leave things to last minute. Okay, it's actually better for your brains to spread things out throughout the week so you continually go back to it. Also, with some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, sometimes if you get frustrated, it is better to walk away from it and then come back with a fresh mindset. Okay. Also, please ask, because my job is to teach you. It's a little different in an in-person class. I can see the looks on people's faces when they're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I automatically know I need to help that person. Really hard on an online. Okay. I'm not going to lie. This is a tough class online. You guys are going to have to be really organized and self-disciplined. We do still have open seats in our in-person classes. If you are nervous or want to switch into an in-person class, please contact me right away. But you need to be organized, you need to be self-disciplined, and you need to make sure that you're not doing things last minute. Okay. Couple other things. Make sure you're taking notes during lectures. When you write something down by hand, it's actually a process in your brain that allows you to remember things better and to understand it. And so listening to it is one thing, reading it is one thing, but writing it is a whole different thing. And so the more ways that you can manipulate your brain to understand this, the better off you're going to be. Okay. Equation sheets I mentioned. Set yourself a schedule. Okay. This is a way to stay organized and not to leave things to the last minute. All right. So please make sure you're kind of planning out your week. I know people get busy between work and families and other classes. My weeks are pretty much set up the same with 2 labs, expert TA, okay, videos, check for understanding, and then a quiz. All right, so please make sure that you are setting that up. Okay, also, I've had some students in the past kind of reach out and actually start working together. They made time to kind of meet on Zoom or Google Meets to complete labs together. I am okay with that, as long as if you're working with somebody, you still have to do your own work, meaning that your conclusions should be your own words. However, working with somebody in physics, well, in chemistry as well too, and in math. Chemistry, math, and physics are those 3 subjects that if you work with somebody and talk your way through it, it's going to be a lot easier because it's not memorizing, it's working with the concepts and the equations and problem solving. Okay, so please reach out to someone in class if you want to, or during week 1 or week 2. Week 1 is a little bit on the easier side, but once we start to get into some more difficult stuff, I will put in just a discussion if somebody wants to work, and then you can kind of meet up that way. Okay. So that is the setup for our course. Once again, please do not hesitate to reach out. I really am here for you guys. So please let me know if I can help you in any way. Obviously, the more detailed your question is, the better. Don't just say, hey, I need help with the homework. Okay, well, which question on the homework, or what concept, or what number, or what's, any details are going to help. Okay, so I hope this is a great semester, and I look forward to working with all of you.